The King's Avatar for the Glory. Chapter 19. The Time for Witnessing Miracles. 1. Audio source: WuXiaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 19. The Time for Witnessing Miracles. 1. Translator: Noam Yummy. Editor: Noam Yummy. Glory Professional Alliance Season 2 Champions Team Excellent Era. After the playoffs ended, an overwhelming number of reports came out. Excellent Era, continuing from last year, once again won the championship. This was the highest achievement. But in the eyes of the pro players, there was something else remarkable about this result. Because that finals match with a team round that ended in 5 minutes. How willful. This was the most honest opinion of this match from a professional perspective. Because of the willfulness of those two teams, the final stage, the highest stage in all of Glory, lost some of its grand light. What was displayed was a grassroots, dirt-level fight that could be found anywhere in the in-game arena. Because both teams were grassroots teams, they used this method to bid a complete and perfect farewell to their past. They finally stepped fully onto this professional stage, using a professional attitude, maintaining a professional spirit. And all of this, some people could sense, some people couldn't, and some were somewhere in between. This was a change of generation in Glory, and everyone, coming from different stages, all carried different feelings about this. But in the years to come, everyone who stepped onto this stage would have only one goal, the same goal: victory, championship. And every summer was the starting line for the sprint to this goal. Team Tiny Herb. In 1 hour, they would be holding a press conference for the upcoming season, describing the adjustments made during the summer as well as their plans and goals for the new season. But all of the members of Tiny Herb knew that the most important aspect of today's press conference was the announcement of a new member. Someone who would soon don Tiny Herb's battle attire, someone who was highly anticipated within the team. Wang Jieshi sat in the lounge, waiting for the press conference to begin. Although he was the star of today's show, he was neither nervous nor particularly excited. When the captain praised him as a natural talent for the big stage, he only smiled politely. He didn't know how he would perform once he was actually on the big stage of a competition, but he didn't feel that this press conference was any big stage, even though he was to be the star. Little Wang, how are things going? Tiny Herb's news spokesman arrived in the lounge, and, seeing Wang Jieshi already waiting there, asked him this question. No problems here, Wang Jieshi replied. Of course, as the star of today's conference, he would have to give some sort of speech. Worried that a new player like him wouldn't be able to handle it, the team had already arranged what he was to say, and he'd just need to follow the script. Wang Jieshi wasn't particularly interested in events like these, but the team required it of him, and so he complied. Good, there's no need to be nervous. I have some things to get to, so I'll see you in a bit, the spokesman said with a smile. Alright, Wang Jieshi said as he stood up, prepared to see the spokesman to the door. The spokesman paused at the door, glancing at the cup of water Wang Jieshi held in his hand. Don't drink too much water, he advised. Wang Jieshi nodded with a smile. The team really tended to fuss over him. Once again, he was alone in the lounge. Wang Jieshi sat there quietly for some amount of time, doing nothing in particular, until the door was pushed open again. Feng Shijian, a member of Team Tiny Herb that debuted just this past season, he had immediately become the main healer of the team. If it hadn't been for the dazzling performance of the dual core of Team 100 Blossoms, Sun Zheping and Zhang Jiali, there was no doubt that Feng Shijian would have been the most distinctive player of this season. Now that Season 3 had arrived, Feng Shijian was no longer a new player. To someone like Wang Jieshi who had just entered the pro scene, he was considered a senior. When he saw Feng Shijian enter, Wang Jieshi quickly rose to his feet and greeted him politely. Feng Shijian only nodded in reply and sat to the side without saying anything to him. Wang Jieshi didn't break the silence either, and instead just studied the other player. He wasn't sure when it had started exactly, but recently, Feng Shijian always seemed to be in a bad mood. Perhaps it started sometime around when Excellent Era had knocked Tiny Herb out of the playoffs. If Wang Jieshi remembered correctly, that seemed to be about right. Naturally, no one in the team had been happy about being eliminated. But it was now almost 2 months since the playoffs ended. Everyone was preparing for the start of the new season. Feng Shijian, however, continued to be in a depressed state, and Wang Jieshi felt that this was strange. He didn't know the other player well, so it'd be awkward to ask. He could only passively observe Feng Shijian's unhappiness, and what seemed to be faint needles of hostility directed at Wang Jieshi himself. What was the reason? Wang Jieshi didn't know. The most common reason for conflict in a team was competition, but that didn't apply here. Feng Shijian played cleric, and so wouldn't have to compete with most other players in that sense. But Wang Jieshi, as he sat there waiting, suddenly thought of another possibility. Feng Shijian would also be attending the imminent press conference. Because of his stellar performance the previous season, he was now one of Team Tiny Herb's main players. And Wang Jieshi was supposed to become the new driving force of Tiny Herb. Feng Shijian wouldn't be holding a grudge against him because of this, would he? With the press conference looming, Wang Jieshi suddenly thought of this possibility, and he couldn't help but scratch his head. But in the end, he still couldn't bring himself to say anything. The two of them continued to sit in the lounge in silence, until the door was pushed open yet again. Captain. Upon seeing the new arrival, Feng Shijian was on his feet in an instant. Wang Jieshi stood up as well, marveling at the other's immediate reaction. You two are both here already. Tiny Herb's team captain Lin Jie smiled warmly at the two of them. This press conference would showcase 3 players, Captain Lin Jie, star rookie Feng Shijian, as well as the new talent Wang Jieshi. We are, affirmed Feng Shijian, after a brief glance at Wang Jieshi. Wang Jieshi suddenly realized, in front of Lin Jie, Feng Shijian's depression was completely hidden. Was this guy really targeting Wang Jieshi specifically? When this thought crossed Wang Jiexie's mind, he couldn't help but feel a little unhappy himself. Here, you two sit down for now, Lin Jie said. Captain, you sit, said Feng Shijian, standing aside to allow Lin Jie to take the spot he had just been sitting in. Was he trying to flatter the captain? Wang Jieshi watched coldly as he sat back down in his own seat, finding himself disliking Feng Shijian's actions more and more. Sit.
Lin Jie insisted that Feng Shijian keep his seat, and dragged over a chair to sit before the two of them.
Wang Jieshi held Tiny Herb's captain in extremely high regard. He wasn't the best at playing Glory, his skill could hardly compare to gods like Yi Chu and Han Wenxing, but this didn't affect the respect that Tiny Herb had for him. He drew people together not by his skill but by his kindness and charisma. As for the person sitting next to Wang Jieshi right now, Feng Shijian was a very skilled player, but Wang Jieshi could already feel a headache from having this person as a future teammate. Next season we're counting on you guys, Lin Jie told them with a small smile. Yes, Feng Shijian replied instantly, while Wang Jieshi simply nodded. If Feng Shijian was so eager to perform in front of the captain, let him perform. Wang Jieshi, quote. But as it turned out, after briefly acknowledging Feng Shijian, Lin Jie turned to the younger player. Captain. Wang Jieshi looked at Lin Jie. I've already spoken with the club, and we all think that you are ready for greater responsibility, said Lin Jie. Huh? Wang Jieshi was at a loss. What was the captain trying to say? Meanwhile on the side, Feng Shijian's sour expression resurfaced. He knew what was coming. He truly did not want to see this, and fantasized that the captain would change his mind about this decision. He'd even directly gone up to the captain to ask him to reconsider. But in the end, nothing changed. Lin Jie maintained his decision. Feng Shijian, at this moment, had an impulse to just physically charge forward. stop Lin Jie from continuing what he was about to say. But he wasn't so naive to think that that would do anything, and so he only sat to the side and felt dejected. And Wang Jieshi, too confused about Lin Jie's meaning, didn't notice what the other player was thinking. "What do you think?" Lin Jie continued. "Do you think you're ready for greater responsibility?" "I still don't understand," Wang Jieshi said slowly. "Greater responsibility? What do you mean by that?" "Baccaria," said Lin Jie. Wang Jieshi froze. With that one name, his heart began to race. Baccaria, the character currently wielded by Lin Jie, class which the core of Team Tiny Herb. Glory had a feature called the Equipment Editor, which allowed players to build equipment that was stronger than the highest level orange equipment designed in-game. Because the names of such equipment were written in silver, they were usually called silver equipment. Up until now, in all of Glory, there weren't many worthwhile pieces of silver equipment that surpassed the stats of orange equipment. So-called silver weapons were especially rare. WuxiaWorldAudio.com. The spear in the hands of Battle God 1 Autumn Leaf Evil Annihilation was the most famous. From in-game to the professional stage, he had slaughtered his way in with this spear, a step above too many characters. Including one Autumn Leaf, the number of characters with a silver weapon in the pro scene could be counted on one hand. Blue Rain Swaxar had a silver scepter, Curse of Destruction. Tyranny's Desert Dust had silver gauntlets, Flame Fists. Royal Styles Peaceful Hermit, Silver Scythe, Death Savvy. And finally, Tiny Herb's Vacariate with a silver broom, Stardust Extermination. That was it. The various teams were all focusing more on research into powerful silver weapons, so in the upcoming seasons, there would likely be more silver weapons and silver equipment made. But for the past 2 seasons, these were the only 5 true silver weapons. Baccaria and Stardust Extermination were the most overlooked of these 5 because Team Tiny Herb and the character Baccaria hadn't been performing particularly well. This wasn't because Baccaria was weak, nor was it because Stardust Extermination was poor quality. It was because Baccaria's user, Tiny Herb's Captain Lin Jie, wasn't skilled enough. Compared to the users of the other 4 God-level accounts, he could only compare to Blue Rain's Wei Chen, whose condition last season had been in decline. And Wei Chen, after his poor performance last season, had already abandoned his team in embarrassment, or at least that's what the outside world had heard. Lin Jie's skill level wasn't exceptional, and this was no secret. Lin Jie himself didn't bother hiding it, and would often mock himself and apologize for dragging the team down. And now, he brought up the topic of Baccaria. Time stood still. The room was dead silent, and Wang Jieshi felt like he could hear his own heartbeat because he already sensed the possibility of what was to come. The moments seemed to drag on, until Lin Jie continued. "The club and I both believe that giving Baccaria to you is the best choice. But what do you think?" Wang Jieshi was excited. How else could he feel? Every professional player dreamed of someday controlling a God-level account, and he was no exception. This time, it was Feng Shiqian's turn to notice Wang Jiexi's expression. Feng Shijian didn't say anything, but he was somewhat disgusted at the excitement and passion that Wang Jieshi revealed. But Wang Jieshi calmed down very quickly. He didn't go on to imagine himself controlling Baccaria. Instead, his mind immediately jumped to a conflict that this arrangement would bring. "Then what about you, Captain?" he asked. With this question, Feng Shiqian's expression softened. Of course, Wang Jieshi couldn't pay attention to Feng Shiqian's expressions right now. "Me?" Lin Jie let out a small laugh. "Don't worry about me for now, we're talking about you, and if you believe that you can control Baccaria." Wang Jieshi fell silent. The earlier excitement had lasted only for those brief initial moments. This was the professional scene, after all. In-game, getting a good drop was as simple as getting candy. But here, in Tiny Herb, Baccaria held special meaning. This was Tiny Herb's star character, and so the one to control Baccaria would be Tiny Herb's core player. What Tiny Herb wanted to give him wasn't just an interesting toy. Like Lin Jie had said from the beginning, he was being offered a greater responsibility. The responsibility of being Tiny Herb's core. Right now, this position was held by Lin Jie. He couldn't be considered a strong player, but everyone was still happy with him. From this, it could be seen that to be the core player of a team, Glory's skill wasn't enough. One had to be able to earn everyone's trust and respect. Could Wang Jieshi do this? End chapter.
The King's Avatar for the Glory, Chapter 20 The Time for Witnessing Miracles. 2. Audio source, Wuxia Chapter 20 The Time for Witnessing Miracles. 2. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. Wang Jiechi didn't respond immediately, thinking this over for several minutes in silence as the other two waited. In the end, he lifted his head and looked Lin Jie in the eyes. "I believe I can do this." "Great," said Lin Jie with a broad smile. While the young player had been mulling things over, Lin Jie had started to feel nervous that Wang Jiechi would refuse, that he didn't have enough confidence in himself. Confidence could be built, of course, but it was better that he had it from the start. Lin Jie had high expectations for this player. It was clear now that Wang Jiechi's silence had been consideration, not hesitation. He was not only confident but thoughtful, even better than Lin Jie had anticipated. Excellent, he couldn't help but praise again. With that, he felt much more secure about his next decision. "Since that's the case, I'll offer you some more responsibility." "Huh?" Wang Jiechi stared at him uncomprehendingly. "My position as captain, take it as well," Lin Jie said slowly. "Captain!" Wang Jiechi yelled. To his side, Fang Shiqian had leapt to his feet. Lin Jie had indeed changed his decision, but not in the direction that Fang Shiqian had hoped. Instead, he'd gone the more drastic direction. He was giving up his captaincy to Wang Jiechi. Then what was he himself planning to do? Leave the team like Blue Rain's Wei Chen? Absolutely no one in Tiny Herb wished to see that happen. "I don't agree," Fang Shiqian said, disregarding everything. Wang Jiechi glanced at him, and saw the shock in his eyes, the refusal, the dismay, the fear. He was ignoring Wang Jiechi. None of these emotions were from dissatisfaction with Wang Jiechi's earlier answer. Now, he was focused completely on Captain Lin Jie, and nothing else. In a flash, Wang Jiechi understood. Fang Shiqian had been depressed recently because he had known that Lin Jie would make such a decision. It wasn't that he was jealous of Wang Jiechi, he was just sad that Lin Jie was giving up Vacaria and his position as core. It was a kind of childish, "If you weren't here, this wouldn't be happening" attitude. But now, Lin Jie wanted to give up his captaincy to Wang Jiechi? Fang Shiqian had no idea of this beforehand. He was shocked, he was worried, he lost his composure, because this decision pointed to an end result that Fang Shiqian was even more unwilling to accept. Lin Jie was giving up his account, his status as the team's core, his captaincy. Was there any reason for him to remain in Team Tiny Herb? There wasn't. Then, this decision was hiding Lin Jie's intention of retiring. He was planning to entrust the entirety of Tiny Herb to Wang Jiechi. "I don't agree," Fang Shiqian repeated. He knew, of course, that he had no authority in this matter, no status to say words like that. But that was just his attitude, and these were just his thoughts. If Lin Jie wanted to give up Vacaria and being the core, then fine. But now, he was planning to leave. The beloved captain, the one who had taken care of all of them over these years, leading them to work hard toward the future, was planning to leave just like that. He didn't agree. He didn't accept this. Fang Shiqian shook his head, hoping that Lin Jie would retract his decision. But Lin Ji only smiled at him, a gentle and warm smile. Whenever Fang Shiqian performed excellently on the field, and even when he messed up, Lin Ji was always giving him that kind smile, praising him, comforting him, encouraging him. This smile reassured him. This smile helped him quickly adjust to his pro player life. This smile stopped him from losing his temper any further. I have already spoken about this with the club, Lin Ji said, looking back toward Huang Jiexi. Of course, we will respect your wishes on this matter as well. Even so, I do hope you will accept, because I think this is the best decision for Tiny Herb, Lin Ji continued. My apologies for being somewhat selfish here, pushing all these responsibilities onto your shoulders. Quote, this time, Wang Jiexi was truly hesitating. He had prepared for becoming a pro player, he welcomed a powerful account, and he was willing to become a core player. But to lead a team as its captain. And what's more, he was still a rookie, all of his teammates would be his seniors. To be a core player, having good technical skill was enough. But to be the captain, you need more than that. Could Wang Jiexi really handle it? Wishing he could stall for time, Wang Jiexi glanced to the side, and saw that Fang Shiqian was nervously watching him. Fang Shiqian knew that Lin Ji wasn't going to change his mind. Now, there was only one chance to prevent this from happening. Wang Jiexi himself had to refuse. Lin Ji would never force him to do anything he didn't want to do. That was just the kind of person he was. Wang Jiexi noticed Fang Shiqian's anticipation. To be honest, refusing all this was a very attractive option. Wang Jiexi didn't want to see Lin Ji leave like this, either. As long as Lin Ji was still the captain of the team, then even if he was no longer the core player, he would still be that reliable compass needle guiding him in the right direction, a comforting presence to the team. Wasn't that the best option? Wang Jiexi was about to open his mouth to give his refusal, but when he looked into Lin Ji's eyes, in Fang Shiqian's eyes, there had been anticipation. But Lin Ji's eyes revealed his own anticipation as well. He wasn't losing his temper, he wasn't acting childish. Without any selfishness, he anticipated Wang Jiexi's decision. But it was clear what he was anticipating. Wang Jiexi wanted to refuse, following both Fang Shiqian's and his own desires. But could he really just dash Lin Ji's hopes like that? Lin Ji continued to smile gently and patiently, without giving any pressure. Wang Jiexi knew that if he declined, Lin Ji would swallow his disappointment and cheerfully accept Wang Jiexi's decision, acting as though Wang Jiexi made a happy decision for everyone involved. But that wouldn't be the reality. Perhaps everyone would be happy, but what about Lin Ji himself? Wang Jiexi opened his mouth. I accept, he said. Are you insane? Fang Shiqian lost his composure once more, spinning to face Wang Jiexi fully. Just then, he had been so sure that the younger player was about to refuse, but when he finally opened his mouth, he chose to accept. This guy. Fang Shiqian was filled with rage, but this time, Lin Ji didn't try to restrain him. When Wang Jiexi said that he accepted, Lin Ji let out a long and quiet sigh of relief, and it was as though a great weight was lifted from his shoulders. He would miss Tiny Herb dearly, of course, but that alone wasn't a good enough reason to stay. He was a captain that could unify a team, but he wasn't a captain that could lead a team to victory. This was the pro scene, after all, not a game of house, and what they need was victory. More importantly, they need a leader that could help Tiny Herb achieve this. Wang Jiexi was that kind of person. Lin Ji believed this wholeheartedly. He was far more confident of this than of his own ability to win on the battlefield. Then, in a bit, we'll announce this decision in the press conference, Lin Ji said cheerfully. All right, replied Wang Jiexi with a nod. To the side, Fang Shiqian was stone-faced. His hands and feet felt like ice, and he was glaring at Wang Jiexi, purposely avoiding looking at the captain. Lin Ji saw this, but could only smile helplessly. "There'll be someone coming to get you in a bit," he said. He stood up and headed toward the exit, but paused after pulling open the door. "I was Tiny Herb's captain for 2 years." Quote. He didn't turn back around when he spoke, only stood there facing the open doorway. Wang Jiexi and Fang Shiqian stared at his back. "I believe that, in all that time, this is my wisest and most correct decision. You all will be the pride of my lifetime." Quote. With that, he departed without looking back, closing the door quietly behind him. After a long moment of staring at the door in silence, Fang Shiqian turned to see Wang Jiexi standing directly behind him. He never was the type of person to force others into doing something. Wang Jiexi suddenly said, WuxaWorldAudio.com. "What do you mean by that? Was he forcing you into this?" Fang Shiqian snapped. Accepting Vacaria, becoming the core player, taking on the captaincy, was Wang Jiexi now saying that he hadn't wanted any of this, that Lin Ji had shoved this onto him. Disgusting. Shameless. But Wang Jiexi shook his head. "No, that's not what I meant. He doesn't burden other people, but he burdens himself." This caused Fang Shiqian to pause. Burdening himself? The more he thought, the more he realized Wang Jiexi had a point. Lin Ji wasn't skilled at glory, but he was Tiny Herb's captain and core player. Other people only saw the prestige of this position, but had no idea of the pressure he suffered as a result. To survive in the pro scene, you need skill. And Lin Ji endured this pressure even though he lacked skill. Wasn't this burdening himself? But what was Wang Jiexi trying to say by bringing this up? Was he saying that Lin Ji wasn't good enough to bear this burden, so giving it up was the obvious option? Before Fang Shiqian could try to decipher the other's meaning further, Wang Jiexi was already speaking again. "So this time, let's take some of the burden ourselves, and follow his wishes for once." Follow his wishes? Right. This was the captain's wish. Otherwise, he wouldn't have brought it up in the first place. And Fang Shiqian himself? Had he been spoiled by the captain? His hope that the captain would stay was entirely selfish. He hadn't even considered what Lin Ji himself wanted. But Wang Jiexi had. Fang Shiqian remembered Wang Jiexi's expression. He had wanted to refuse the offer. But in the very end, he had accepted. Because he saw the captain's anticipation, he changed his mind. In becoming captain, he shouldered some of the burden himself, just like Lin Ji always did for them. Fang Shiqian looked at Wang Jiexi, and although he couldn't bring himself to say anything, he felt that Lin Ji's figure was overlapping with Wang Jiexi's. The door was pushed open. "You two, get ready, we're starting soon." Tiny Herb's spokesman had come to call them. "Okay, we're coming," Wang Jiexi replied, then, to Fang Shiqian, "Let's go." Quote. He started toward the door. "Hey," Fang Shiqian called out suddenly. The other player halted, turning to face him. "You'd better succeed. Otherwise I'll never forgive you," Fang Shiqian said. "Then you have to continue to put in the effort as well," Wang Jiexi replied calmly. "Acting all captain-like already? The sooner the better." "Then you'd better not forget, I'm still your senior," said Fang Shiqian. "Of course. I'll still rely on your guidance. Let's go. Let's go." The two of them walked out of the lounge together. They were both very clear on what was about to happen in this press conference, and Fang Shiqian still felt some sorrow. But he had made a decision of his own. He would no longer let the captain take all the burden. He would do as the captain quietly hoped. Farewell, Captain. Hello, Captain. During the press conference, as he watched the two sitting next to him, Fang Shiqian maintained a genuine smile. End chapter.
The King's Avatar for the Glory. Chapter 21. The Time for Witnessing Miracles. 3. Audio source: wuxia-world-audiobook.com. Chapter 21. The Time for Witnessing Miracles. 3. Translator: Noam Yummy. Editor: Noam Yummy. Tiny Herb's rookie Wang Jieshi directly becomes team captain, controls Tiny Herb's core account Valkyria. With the start of the new season, this was the hottest topic in the Glory sphere. An unknown rookie obtained such status. What kind of mythic origin did he have? Everyone was looking forward to seeing his performance on stage. Isn't this that guy? As it turns out, there was indeed someone who directly recognized Wang Jieshi in the televised press conference. When he saw the news, Huang Shaoshan's jaw dropped. He had already forgotten about this guy who had claimed to be from Tiny Herb. But with the press conference, he immediately remembered meeting him during last season's finals, Excellent Era vs 100 Blossoms. After all, Wang Jiexi's mismatched eyes were quite memorable. Captain. Controlling the core character. This guy is that impressive? Huang Shaoshan's outburst continued. After spending so much time in Blue Rain, he knew what these two positions truly meant. The fact that this guy managed to rise to the top just like that. If I recall correctly, when we met him, you told him that you'd meet him on the stage this season. Yu Wenzhou had walked up behind Huang Shaoshan at some point. It sucks, but I guess I have to break that promise. Quote. After seeing Blue Rain's terrible defeat in the playoffs, Huang Shaoshan had realized that he still wasn't good enough, and decided to devote himself to intense training for another year before making his debut. Season 3 would see neither Huang Shaoshan nor Yu Wenzhou on stage, though the latter had recognized early on that he wasn't yet ready. In that case, he'll already have a year's head start on you. Shouldn't you be training now? Yu Wenzhou said. I'm coming. Captain's training regimen this time is so complicated, he complained as he walked to Yu Wenzhou's side. The captain in question was no longer Wei Chen, but Fang Shijing, who had taken control of Swaxar and would be leading Blue Rain this season. But everyone knew that Fang Shijing was only a placeholder for these two youths. This summer, hardly a day had gone by without the club asking how they were doing. At the door, Huang Shaoshan paused and looked back at the television, which was still replaying scenes from Tiny Herb's press conference. He raised a finger and pointed at the face of Tiny Herb's new captain. Season 4. We'll meet on the stage. A few days later, Glory's third season officially began. This summer, the various major teams were adjusting and strengthening themselves as they became more and more professional. But from the outside, the overall situation of the alliance didn't see any major changes. Even though there were more transfers and more new players than there were last season, the famous top-tier players still remained where they were. These were the gods who truly influenced the strength of a team. Two-time champion Team Excellent Era was still led by Yi Chu and his One Autumn Leaf. Team Tyranny was still headed by Han Wenqing and his Desert Dust. 100 Blossoms would continue their dual-core style. Royal Style, Wind Howl. These teams who had made it to playoffs last season didn't change their core rosters either. The playoffs teams that had seen the most change were Blue Rain and Tiny Herb. After Blue Rain's Wei Chen retired, his spot was replaced by a mere free player in the team, Fang Shijing. In people's eyes, this was decline in strength. Not many people had high hopes for Blue Rain this season. As for Tiny Herb, they'd announced a rookie with much fanfare, someone who would be both the core and the captain. The whole team felt like it had been refreshed. Everyone now had rather high hopes for Tiny Herb, and they were especially curious to see what kind of performance that rookie would give them. These days, this was the hottest topic of Glory. Amidst all this noise, the first round of Season 3 finally arrived. Tiny Herb would be facing the famed Team Royal Style. as the runner-ups of Season 1. Even though they lost in the first round of Season 2, in everyone's eyes, Royal Style was still very much a strong team. Because their captain and court player Lu Liang was still here. Because they had the Exorcist Peaceful Hermit, a top-tier character with a rare silver weapon. How good was Tiny Herb's Wang Jieshi? Let Royal Style and Lu Liang put him to the test. This was what everyone was thinking. Because of this, Royal Style had also earned a lot of attention, but Royal Style was a bit irritated at this. Rookie, captain, core player. Is he really all that amazing, or is Tiny Herb just doing this as a gimmick? Quote. In the prep room for the match, Royal Style's captain Lu Liang was holding a newspaper report that analyzed this matchup. Someone in the team chuckled. With their old captain Lin Jia's skill level, it's about time they switched things up for a gimmick. Everyone laughed. The joke was mean, but the truth was that Lin Jia was one of the rare captains with mediocre skill. Lin Jia is truly a good person, but his skill. Lu Liang didn't need to continue. Anyway, we'll see what this match holds in store for us. It's just a rookie, aren't you being a little dramatic? Someone asked, laughing. Don't make the opponent cry. Ha! Another round of laughter, and Lu Liang didn't stop them. After all, no matter how skilled this person was, he was still a rookie. It wasn't cool to take this too seriously. At the same time, the atmosphere in the Tiny Herb waiting room was much colder. This was their first match of the season, one that was attracting much attention. The team members all knew that Lin Jia held Wang Jieshi in high regard, and they did want to trust in the decision Lin Jia made. But now, about to take on this high-profile match, even the veterans of the team who had already played for 2 seasons couldn't relax. The amount of pressure on Wang Jieshi was unfathomable. And since he was a captain, he had the responsibility to stay strong under pressure and direct the team members. In a situation like this, were the team members supposed to comfort or encourage the captain? Everyone felt that this wasn't proper, but they didn't know what they could do in this situation. Hey, this is our first match. Are you ready? Quote. In the end, it was Feng Shijian spoke up, with no comfort, with no encouragement, in fact with something like belligerence in his tone. Is everyone ready? Wang Jieshi looked at everyone. Huh. Quote. This threw some people off. We're worried about you, new captain. Let's work hard together, said Wang Jieshi. Yes. Everyone nodded. You better work even harder. Feng Shijian added. You have to prove the captain's decision was correct. The captain in question referred, of course, to Lin Jia. As of now, Feng Shijian had yet to address Wang Jieshi as captain. Lin Jia had left Tiny Herb shortly after the press conference. When people had asked him about his plans, he'd replied with a carefree, "What do you care?" Quote. It was the first time Lin Jia had so impolitely ignored everyone's worry and curiosity. Just like that, he'd said farewell to everyone. And now, hearing Feng Shijian act like this, the other Tiny Herb players felt like they wanted to cry. Refusing to offer comfort or encouragement is one thing, but you're actually adding to the pressure on Wang Jieshi? Are you even his teammate? Okay. Wang Jieshi only nodded and made a noise of acknowledgement. There was no point in saying more. Everything had to be said through their performance on stage. It's about time. Let's go. The teams in the prep rooms received this heads up at around the same time, and they filed into the passageway leading to the stage. It was here that the two teams met. You're Wang Jieshi? Lu Liang spoke to the player next to him, the new player who was leading Team Tiny Herb. I am, Wang Jieshi confirmed. He was keenly aware of the curiosity everyone held regarding him, and noticed how the members of Royal Style were craning their necks to get a look at him, some even on their tiptoes. Are you nervous? Lu Liang asked. This was a question that a senior would ask a rookie, and definitely wasn't something commonly said between team captains. With this question, there was faint snickering from the Royal Style crowd. I'm alright, Wang Jieshi replied neutrally. Looking forward to seeing your performance on stage, Lu Liang said, in a similarly detached tone. Likewise. We won't disappoint, said Lu Liang, smiling. He didn't really like this new player. Soon, the two teams appeared on stage. Starting from this season, the Glory Pro League matches were broadcast live on television, but this didn't decrease the number of people who came to watch live. The atmosphere of the stadium simply couldn't be replaced by online or televised broadcasts. But whether from the live stadium or the commentators in the broadcast, the excitement toward this match was clear to see. It was just a shame that the outside world still knew little about Wang Jieshi, so there wasn't much to analyze about him. Because of this, the major opponent he would have to face, the God-level player Lu Liang, ended up becoming the bulk of what was discussed. The commentator concluded, and then everyone began to pay attention to the lineups for this match, wondering when Wang Jieshi would go on stage. The first, not Wang Jieshi. The second, not Wang Jieshi. The third, still not Wang Jieshi. Group Arena, then? If so, then he would have a chance to meet him. But a few minutes later, that player fell in defeat. Number 2 entered, but it still wasn't Wang Jieshi. But if things continued the way they were, it would be an almost dead Valkyria that would appear in front of Lu Liang. What was the meaning in that? However, Royal Style's first player lost this next matchup, and up came their second player, Zhang Lin, controlling a Spitfire flash save. After dropping to half health, he was able to defeat Tiny Herb's second player. It was finally time to see Tiny Herb's anchoring general. Who would it be? Everyone waited with bated breath. At last, they saw the name flash on the screen. The third player in the group arena, the most common position for the core player of a team. As the captain, Wang Jieshi arranged this himself. The task facing him now was quite difficult. Royal Style's Zhang Lin still had half his health left, and after him, there was the god-level player Lu Liang and his peaceful hermit at full health. If it were Yichu, then maybe there'd be a chance. But for a rookie player, hey, no one would blame Wang Jieshi if he failed to win these 2 points. Don't embarrass yourself. He could hear the audience in the stadium getting louder now that he entered the stage. Before, he had only been able to feel and participate in the audience's excitement. Now, he was its director. So be it. The surroundings were noisy, but his heart was calm. Right now, what Wang Jieshi cared more about was whether or not Lin Jie was watching this match from somewhere. He hoped that Lin Jie was watching. Fourth battle of a group arena, begin. Rookie captain, I'm coming. To serve as your first opponent, I'm truly honored. Royal Style's Zhang Lin began trash-talking in the match channel as soon as the battle began. Coming. Wang Jieshi didn't ignore him completely, instead replying calmly as Valkyria rushed outward. Zhang Lin didn't control his flash save to meet him directly, instead choosing to circle around. A face-to-face battle wouldn't allow the rookie to truly taste the cruelty of the Pro League. Of course, he had to let him experience pro-level trickery and strategy. After calculating Valkyria's approximate movement speed, he selected a good position and began to lie hidden in wait. Zhang Lin couldn't help but think this after seeing Valkyria sweep past Flash Save's hiding place just like that. Flash Save was already prepared to jump out and ambush Valkyria from behind. But in the stadium, in front of televisions and computers, everywhere where there were people watching the match, there were already sounds of exclamation. Because just as Valkyria had passed the point where Flash Save lay hidden, he had changed direction, riding his broom up into the air. Zhang Lin controlled Flash Save to jump out and ambush, gun at the ready, only to find in shock that there was no one in front of him. Crack. The next thing he heard was the sound of a breaking glass bottle, and flickering tongues of flame danced before his eyes. Valkyria had broken a lava flask right over Flash Save's head. Zhang Lin already knew where his opponent had vanished, and as he jumped to the side he was already lifting his camera view and pointing his gun at the sky. But nothing. He wasn't in the air. Had he seen a ghost? Had the lava flask not been dropped from this direction? Zhang Lin was once again dumbstruck.
But the audience members had seen clearly that long before he'd raised his view, Valkyria had already flown over Flash Save's head.
Now, he was behind him. Stardust Extermination was a cool and flashy name, but it was still a broom in the end. This back attack swept Flash Save from head to toe, very thoroughly, and then back up in the other direction, sweep. A witch's knock-up skill. Not only had Flash Save been attacked from behind, he was now sent flying up into the air. And then there was Disperse Powder, Frost Powder. All sorts of magic powder swirled through the air, and Stardust Extermination continually danced around as though trying to sweep them up. With an endless stream of thwacking sounds, the broom landed again and again upon Flash Save's body, hit after hit until all his health was gone. Fuck. Zhang Lin, still shocked, couldn't help but swear aloud. He lost? He lost just like that? He was also a pro player who had played 2 years in the Pro League. But now, without even seeing the shadow of his opponent, he was killed just like that? Zhang Lin was so shocked that he was no longer thinking clearly. He had seen Valkyria, after all, when he had been gleefully lying in wait as Valkyria rushed past him. What happened? Zhang Lin asked his teammates as he returned to the player area. He almost suspected Wang Jieshi of cheating somehow. His teammates didn't explain much, merely pointing to the large display screen in the stadium so that Zhang Lin could watch for himself. The display was currently replaying how Flash Save had been thrashed to death by Valkyria in one go. The Spitfire had been at half health and had been at a disadvantage at close range, but to be directly combo hit to death was still somewhat embarrassing and pitiful. That guy, how did he know where I was? Quote. After watching the replay, Zhang Lin still didn't understand how Wang Jieshi had detected his ambush. He didn't know your exact position, but after he charged forward directly and didn't see you, he guessed that you were waiting to ambush him. So he immediately took to the air, and then you yourself jumped out, and then, it was what you saw. WuxiaWorldAudio.com. A teammate answered. This was the conclusion they had drawn after watching the match. This. A coincidence. Zhang Lin didn't know what to say. It just happened that he jumped out at the same time that his opponent jumped up, and then the opponent was faster in discovering and attacking him? Not really, said his teammate. Even if you hadn't jumped out, he had flown up high enough to spot you. The opponent was a bitch in the position you chose. Everyone shook their heads. But in reality, back when Zhang Lin had initially chosen his position, no one had thought that it was a poor choice. He's just a rookie. How could I have known? Zhang Lin tried to justify himself. He had underestimated the opponent somewhat. Maybe that was why he had chosen a position without 100% care? That was what he thought. The discussion ended there, as the next battle of the group arena was about to begin. Royal Styles main general Lu Liang was coming forward to face Wang Jiexi's full health Valkyria. In his victory just now, he hadn't lost a single bit of health. Normally Lu Liang would have been glad to face this situation, but seeing Wang Jieshi so easily kill off Royal Styles' half-health character, he was a bit irritated. Little brat, looks like you have some skill. Quote. As soon as he entered the match, Lu Liang sent a message in the chat. He was prepared to use his status as senior to give Wang Jieshi a good lesson, and so he didn't do what Zhang Lin had done with setting up an ambush. Lu Liang controlled Peaceful Hermit to head straight forward on the center road, and he saw Valkyria riding his broom and flying forward in the same manner. Come on, show me what you got. Lu Liang's Peaceful Hermit stood still without attacking, waiting for Valkyria to advance so that he could react and take control. Coming. Wang Jieshi didn't turn down the invitation. When Valkyria was within 5 units of Peaceful Hermit, he suddenly let loose a magic missile. That's it? Quote. As Lu Liang typed the message, he easily dodged to the side, already ready to counterattack. But just as his camera view wavered as he dodged, Wang Jieshi suddenly pulled into the air, out of Lu Liang's field of view. This again? Lu Liang tapped on the keyboard, along with a smirking emoji. There was still no effect on his control of his character. Rising Emblem. Peaceful Hermit drew an arc with his scythe Death Savvy, and a ring of blue light instantly rose upward. He didn't even raise his view to look, simply relying on this rising emblem to snatch Valkyria down. But in this moment, again, in the stadium, in front of televisions and computers, everywhere where there were people watching the match, there was a collective gasp. Valkyria riding on his broom in the air. Just as the blue light of the rising emblem rose upward, he suddenly swung his broom and swerved his body to the side. Another sweep of the broom, and Valkyria dropped rapidly through the air. With that, the light of rising emblem brushed right past Valkyria. It looked as though he had glided down upon that light. It was at this time that Lu Liang's peaceful hermit finally looked up. He was already prepared for the next step of the attack, and Valkyria of course should currently be lifted into the air by the rising emblem. Crack, pa, 2 consecutive sounds. The crack was a lava flask, slamming right into Peaceful Hermit's upturned face. The pa was Stardust Extermination, sweeping onto his face right after the lava flask. Lu Liang's vision instantly went dark, how could it not, with a broom in his face? He immediately tried to control his character to back away, but then his body was swept once again. Sweep. It was this knock-up skill again. And so, Peaceful Hermit was also lifted into the air. The entire process had been different, changing direction mid-air. Sliding down the light of rising emblem, it had been much more exciting than the back attack against Zhang Lin's flash save, but the end result was the same. Lava flask to the head, sweep from head to toe, and then a sweep into the air. And after that, magic powder swirled in the air, and the broom's endless thwacking rang out once again. No way! The audience was stunned. Was Lu Liang also about to be beaten to death like this? No, of course not. Lu Liang wasn't Zhang Lin. And an exorcist wasn't a Spitfire. He was currently suffering a mid-air combo, but Lu Liang still found an opportunity very quickly. Starfall. Since Peaceful Hermit was already in the air, he was saved the time of having to throw up his weapon. As soon as the skill activated, Death Savvy shot down like a falling star straight toward Valkyria. But Valkyria swung his broom once again, and the falling star went just past his body. He swung twice more, changing his direction and movement path twice, and Lu Liang's mouse almost flew out of his hand as he twisted his view to follow. Couldn't keep up. His view couldn't keep up with Valkyria's movements. Because Peaceful Hermit is still in the air, his body didn't have full freedom of movement. He could only twist his neck a bit to look around, and so of course he couldn't find the desired angle. Glory was just that realistic. And Wang Jieshi was someone who had accurate judgment of this realism. After dodging the starfall, Valkyria changed directions twice and in the blink of an eye had flashed to Lu Liang's blind spot. This guy, is he doing magic? Quote. In the live audience, someone couldn't help but exclaim, magic? Former Tiny Herb Captain Lin Jie, sitting not too far away, heard this sentiment and agreed. That's right, that's a very good comparison. How come I never thought of it? On the battlefield, the slapping sound of the broom resumed. The witch's specialty was the ability to use all sorts of magic tools. But in this current confrontation, what everyone saw more of was Valkyria's unbelievable yet incredibly accurate positioning. At first, everyone simply thought that the varied moves were enjoyable to watch. But after the broadcast showed some shots from Lu Liang's point of view, everyone finally realized how miserable this sort of positioning was for Wang Jiexi's opponent. Lu Liang, this fairly experienced god-level player, was being driven crazy by Wang Jieshi. 80% of the time, his view didn't contain a shadow of Valkyria's presence. His counter moves were steadily becoming more and more chaotic, but they still didn't create any noticeable threat. No, to be accurate, it wasn't that they were completely ineffective. The rising emblem at the start of the match, and the star fall he'd used right after the first time he'd been knocked up. These sorts of responses, for most people, were effective counters. When hit with a rising emblem, they would likely be sent right into the air. When hit with a star fall, they would likely be struck to the ground. But Wang Jieshi wasn't. Relying on his pinpoint accuracy and positioning, no matter if it was rising emblem or star fall, he'd evaded them all. In fact, it seemed like these attacks only served to further display his weapons that allowed his magic-like movement to become even more dazzlingly beautiful. Just like that, Lu Liang lost. His only accomplishment was that Wang Jieshi hadn't killed him with full health remaining. In the end, Baccaria had still lost some health as a result of his counters. Deafening silence. Lu Liang, the god-level player, had lost sympathetically. Wang Jieshi, what was up with his witch playstyle? For a long time, there was silence in the stadium, with only the commentator shouting with passion. Magic. The comparison had come to his mind out of nowhere, but he thought it quite fitting, and he immediately latched onto it. This was truly a show of magic. Right, that really was like magic. The crowd began to murmur, agreeing with this description. When Wang Jieshi walked out and faced the crowd, the applause finally began, as well as cheering and chanting, "Magic! Magic!" In that moment, Wang Jiexie's playstyle became known as magic. On that day, Wang Jieshi earned his nickname, the Magician. This is nothing. Hidden in the cheering audience, Lin Jie sat grinning from ear to ear. This upcoming season, now that'll be the real time for witnessing miracles. Hello. This is the final prequel chapter that has been released on Kidian thus far, and so this is the final translated chapter that we are releasing here for now. There are 3 more parts to the prequel: Inheritance, The Beginning of Legend, and Dynasty and Youth, and we will update here if the corresponding raw chapters are officially posted on Kidian. Until then, thank you so much for reading. 5 Ganen